I'm so excited today because I came here today to make a difficult, ugly English topic fun and beautiful. I know so many English learners hate this topic. It is mostly difficult, you don't know how to use it, it is confusing. I know, maybe you don't know what I'm talking about, but I am talking about relative clauses. This is one of the hardest English topics in English, I guess. If you don't know how to use it, or you know a little bit, but you always confuse it, this video is going to be amazing for you. I promise you, I'm gonna make it fun, easy. You will know exactly how to use them after watching this video. So if you are ready, let's get started. Hi guys, welcome to English with Lingua Matik. My name is Merve. I'm your English teacher. If you subscribe to my channel and like this video, let's get going. Okay, when we are talking about relative clauses, we are talking about these words such as who, that, which, when, where. These are the relative clauses. And in English, we have two types of relative clauses. One is defining relative clauses and the second one is non-defining relative clauses. Okay, now defining relative clauses. What does define mean, first of all? Define means like to explain what that thing is. Defining gives very important information and we need that information in the sentence. In non-defining relative clauses, it's none, it's negative, right? And non-defining gives extra information and we don't need this information. If we want, we can remove from the sentence. Okay, so far so good, yes? Now, let's start with defining relative clauses, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you an example first. We are calm, let's look at this example. The woman who lives next door works in a bank. The woman who lives next door works in a bank. It is very important to understand the structure of the sentence. For example, in the sentence, who lives next door is our relative clauses. We use who in the sentence. Why we use who is because the word, the woman, is a person. Okay, so all this part, who lives next door, is defining the woman. Because the woman is a person, we use who. Okay, so our subject of the sentence is this part. This is whole subject. Okay, the woman who lives next door. This is our subject. We cannot separate it. Now, our main verb of the sentence is works. The woman works. Where? In a bank. Okay, if we didn't define woman, normally the sentence would be the woman works in a bank. Do you see where we are defining and where we put it? Whatever you want to define, you put it after. For example, the woman, it's a person. I am gonna say who, and then I explain who lives next door. As you see, who lives, it's S. Our verb takes S because the woman is one woman. It's like he, she, it, and we put S to our verb. Okay? It's like we are doing a normal sentence, but we are making it together and we are using it to define what we want to talk about. So in this case, the woman who lives next door works in a bank. Okay, in this sentence, who is defining relative clause because it tells us which woman we are talking about. Without this information, we wouldn't know who the woman is, right? This part of the sentence is very important for us. It is essential, okay? Because it helps us which woman it is we are talking about. Okay, now let me give you more examples. Look out, there's the dog that bit my brother. In this example, there is the dog. Now I'm gonna define the dog because the dog is an animal and it's not human. We cannot use who, but we can use that or which. Okay? If it's animal, if it's an object, we can use that or which. So in this example, I want to define the dog. Which dog is this? It's important. The person should understand me. there's the dog that bit my brother. That bit my brother is our relative clause, and it is essential information. It is very important defining part of the word the dog. Okay, now that bit my brother, as you see, bit in this example, it's in past tense, and imagine you remove that from that sentence and it becomes the dog bit my brother. So the structure is like a normal sentence, but we just put that there after the word that we want to define. Okay, there's the dog. Which dog we are talking about? That bit my brother. This is defining clause and it's very important. Okay, now let's see another example. The film that we saw last week was awful. The film, now I am defining the film because the film is an object, it's not a person, right? So we cannot use who. We are going to use that or which in this sentence. We can say the film that we saw last week, this is all our subject, was awful. So normally in a simple sentence you could say the film was awful. Now you want to add information, right? That's why you want to define the film. So you add it right after the word, the film. The film that we saw. One more example for you. This is the skirt I bought in the sales. Okay, this is the skirt. Now I want to explain which skirt this is. I know there is no that or who or which. I'm gonna explain you in a while, but we can have defining relative clauses like this, okay? Like we don't have any word, but it is still a defining word. So basically it is, this is the skirt, okay? This is our main sentence, and now we are defining skirt I bought in the sales. Of course, we could say like this is the skirt that I bought in the sales or which I bought in the sales. Okay, but remember, I cannot say who because it's not a person. Okay, now let me give you some rules of defining clauses. With defining relative clauses, we can use who or that to talk about people. Okay, so we can use always who or that. It gives the same meaning. It doesn't matter what you use, okay? For example, she's the woman who cuts my hair, or she's the woman that cuts my hair. All right? Both of them are defining the woman. It gives the same meaning. If you're talking about people, you can use who or that. And we can use which or that to talk about things. Remember, for example, the dog that bit my brother or the dog which bit my brother. Okay, we are talking about who, that, or which. Now, be very careful. Are you listening to me? Are you bored? I need all your attention, okay? Open up. So, we can remove, omit the relative pronoun from the sentence. Do you remember I was just talking about the skirt? Yes, we can remove relative clauses in defining relative clauses. Okay, only in defining relative clauses. For example, you can say, this is the skirt that I bought in the sales, or you can say, this is the skirt which I bought in the sales. Or you can say, this is the skirt I bought in the sales. Okay, in this sentence, this is the skirt. So in this sentence, skirt is object. This is our subject, is our verb, and skirt is our object. Okay, this is the skirt. Now the rest, the skirt that I bought in the sales. In the relative part, we have another subject, right? I bought it. I. So if there is a subject in this part, in the relative clause, you can remove the relative word in these cases. For example, let me give you another example. The film we saw last week was awful. So in this case, the relative part, the film we saw last week. This part, does it have a subject in itself? For example, we saw, right? Because there is a new subject, we can remove. The film we saw last week was awful. As you see, we removed the relative part. So we could say the film that we saw or the film which we saw last week was awful. But because there is we, there is a subject in the sentence, in the relative part, we can remove that or which. Okay, this is what I'm talking about when I say remove. Let me give you another example where we can remove, okay? For example, the friend I was traveling with spoke French. The friend, now I am defining, normally I could say the friend who or that I was traveling with spoke French. But because in the relative part there is a subject I, we can remove the relative word. It can be the friend I was traveling with. Okay, now let me give you a case that you cannot remove, okay, because there is no subject. You're gonna see, for example, the shirt that was my favorite belongs to my boyfriend. Okay, the shirt that was my favorite. In this part, that was my favorite. There is no subject. Like it was my favorite or something. There is no subject. So in this case, I cannot remove the relative word. So we cannot remove if there is no subject. Okay, if there is subject, you can remove the relative word. Let me give you another example. We started to travel on the day which was sunny. We started to travel on the day. Now, which day is this? Which was sunny. So in this example, I'm explaining the day, I'm defining the day, but in the relative part, there's no subject, right? That's why we cannot remove our relative clause, relative word. So this is how we are going to understand if we can remove or not, okay? If there is subject in the relative part, you can remove. It's very clear. But if there is no subject, you need the relative word in that part, okay? Now, lovelies, I know this is a little bit tricky, but if you really focused well, I know you understood this topic very well. Now, this was defining relative clauses, okay? Are you with me? Are you focused and listening? So we said defining clauses, we have important information. It is very important to define, to understand what we are talking about. So in relative clauses, we use who or that for people and which and that for the objects, for the things or animals. Okay, now let's see how we use non-defining clauses. Remember, in non-defining relative clauses, we have extra information. It is extra. We don't need it. It's not related. It is not important to understand the sentence. Okay, this is completely extra. Okay, for example, let me give you an example. My grandfather, who is 87, goes swimming every day. Now look at this sentence. Is there a relationship between my grandfather going to swim and his age? It is extra. This sentence could be, my grandfather goes swimming every day. It is not related. It is completely different information. So this is non-defining relative clause. It is extra, okay? So again, we use who, as you noticed, with the people, okay? But there are 2 commas. That is very important, okay? I'm gonna come to that point, but let's go on. Let me give you one more example now. The film, which stars Tom Carter, is released on Friday. In this example, is there a relationship between releasing the movie on Friday and the actor? No, it is extra information and we write it between the commas, okay? Now, let me give you another example. My eldest son, whose work takes him all over the world, is in Hong Kong at the moment. So now, the fact that he's in Hong Kong and his job takes him all around the world is not related. This is extra information. If you remove it from the sentence, my eldest son is in Hong Kong at the moment. It's a cool sentence. It doesn't lose the meaning. Okay, but I am talkative person. I want to give extra information about my eldest son. So I am adding this extra information. Okay, and notice again, we write between the commas. Another example. The car, which can go really fast, costs over $500,000. Okay, here, there is no direct relationship between the cost and the speed of the car, right? That's why this is completely extra information. This is what we mean by non-defining relative clauses. All right, so guys, in non-defining relative clauses, the information is extra. And we can use most relative pronouns such as who, which, whose, where, but it is very important. We cannot use that in non-defining relative clauses. Okay, are you with me? Your mind is a little blurry. Oh my god, it's too much information. Stay with me, please. In non-defining relative clauses, we don't use that. Okay? When we use that in defining relative clauses. And stay with me. Very important second rule. We can never ever omit the relative word from the non-defining clauses. So you cannot remove who, which, or where, or whose. You cannot remove. Do you remember I just told you how to remove the relative word from the sentence? In non-defining, between the commas, you can never ever remove the relative word, okay? Remember, we don't have that and we cannot remove it. And we always use them between commas. Okay, you got it?
I got it, I got it, I got it! I got it, I got it, I got it!
Now, let me give you an example and we discuss if we can remove or not, or we can use that. Now, let's look at these examples again. The film, which stars Tom Carter, is released on Friday. Okay, you cannot say the film that. Or you cannot remove which and you can say the film stars Tom Carter. No. You cannot use that. You cannot remove which or whatever your relative word is. And you have to use commas. Okay, cool. Why? Because it makes sense. Because it's extra. It should be clear. And it's fixed. It's not flexible. Defining clauses was more flexible. But this one, no. Okay? Guys, it is very important to know that we use non-defining relative clauses in written English. We use it more in written English than in spoken English. And remember, you can clearly see if it's a non-defining clause by commas. It's very clear. You always have to put between the commas. Okay, now we got it. Defining, non-defining. Defining gives important information. Non-defining gives extra information. In defining clauses, if the relative clause has a subject, we can remove the relative word. If there's no subject, we don't remove, we don't touch. In non-defining, we can never remove our relative word. Okay? In defining clauses, we can use that instead of who or which. In non-defining, we can never use that. Okay, so this is how to separate defining and non-defining clauses. Remember these 3 rules and it's going to be much easier, I promise you. Okay, lovelies, I hope that was clear as the day. Now you have homework. Are you ready?
Yes, we are. Hooray!
I'm gonna give you 10 sentences. I want you to rewrite them by using relative clauses and non-relative clauses, okay? So please rewrite these sentences. Practice with me. It is very important.
Practice gong! Practice gong!
And I will be very happy to see your answers, your 10 sentences in the comments below, okay? I'm gonna give you feedback as much as I can. Okay, now let's start with our 10th sentence. This is your homework. Show me how hardworking you are. Okay, number 1. He showed me a photo of her son. Her son is a policeman. The stadium will be open next month. The stadium holds 90,000 people. John is one of my closest friends. I have known John for 8 years. The boy is one of my closest friends. He's waiting for me. Thank you for your letter. I was very happy to get your letter. The letter is in the drawer. Peter has sent the letter to you. Next weekend, I'm going to Glasgow. My sister lives in Glasgow. Next summer, we are visiting the town. My father was born in this town. The storm caused a lot of damage. Nobody had been expecting the storm. That man over there is an artist. I don't remember his name. Alright, lovelies. I hope you understand this topic very well. We love English. Remember, it's not overwhelming. It's not difficult. We just need to focus and practice, practice, practice. So practice with me. Please let me know in the comments below your answers. And if you didn't understand or if there are topics you want me to teach, just let me know. And I'm gonna do that as soon as I can. Take care. Love you so much. Hope to see you next week. Bye for now. Did you subscribe to my channel? Thank you.